If you have an English conversation with native speakers from the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, or any other English-speaking country in the world, you may hear some phrases, idioms, or a group of words forming phrases and expressions that on the outside may not look complicated or sophisticated, but on the inside can carry different meanings or can be used to express different ideas. In today's video, what I want to do is focus your attention on some of these phrases to be able to understand native speakers better the next time you have a conversation with them. The first English phrase of today's video is to hit the nail on the head. To hit the nail on the head. When you hit the nail on the head, what you do is say or do something accurately and precisely. So when we say someone hits the nail on the head or someone is hitting the nail on the head, what we mean is they're saying something accurately, they're doing something accurately or precisely. An example of this expression: her comment about the team's communication problem really hit the nail on the head. Her comment about the team's communication problem really hit the nail on the head. Her comment about the team's communication problem really hit the nail on the head, which means her comment about the team's communication problem was pretty accurate, was something that she said accurately, was something that she said precisely, was something that everyone expected to be said or expected to hear because it was accurate or precise. Now we're getting to the second phrase of today's video that you need to learn to be able to understand native speakers better and communicate with them better accordingly, which is a blessing in disguise. A blessing in disguise. When we describe something as a blessing in disguise, what we mean is it is something that looks harmful, bad, unpleasant, atrocious, or useless maybe on the outside, but proves to be positive, constructive, useful, and practical on the inside. So when we describe something as a blessing in disguise, what we mean is something looks unpleasant or, negative or bad on the outside, but it's proven to be positive, constructive, and useful on the inside. An example of this phrase: losing that job was a blessing in disguise. I found a much better one. Losing that job was a blessing in disguise. I found a much better one, which means losing that job was something that I thought was pretty unpleasant, but of course on the outside, but on the inside, when you think about it more, when you think about it more carefully or deeply, when you give it more thought, it was something constructive, positive, and pretty useful on the inside because it enabled me to find a better job. So losing that job on the outside was very negative and unpleasant, was a blessing in disguise, but on the inside was something really constructive and positive, was something beneficial and useful in my life, in that it enabled me to find a better one. Now we get to the third English phrase of today's video that you need to learn to be able to understand native speakers better and communicate with them better accordingly, which is to burn the midnight oil. To burn the midnight oil. Once again, to burn the midnight oil. When you burn the midnight oil, you stay up late in order to study or work hard. Someone does not sleep enough, does not get enough sleep or an adequate amount of sleeping. Why? Because they're staying up late at night. They're staying up with the purpose of studying or working. That's the meaning of burn the midnight oil. An example of this phrase: he burned the midnight oil to finish his project before the deadline. He burned the midnight oil to finish his project before the deadline, which means he stayed up late with the purpose and intention of studying hard or working hard to finish his project before the deadline. The next English phrase is to jump on the bandwagon. To jump on the bandwagon. Once again, to jump on the bandwagon. When you jump on the bandwagon, what you do is join a popular activity or a trend. You join people in following a popular trend or doing a popular activity. There's something that is popular with people and growing in popularity on a daily basis or on an increasing basis. Then you detect it, find it, realize it, recognize it, and decide to go with the flow, decide to swim with the current or swim with the tide. In other words, do what others do. if others are following a certain trend by jumping on the bandwagon, what you do is follow the same trend because it is the one followed by a lot of people, or it is something done by a lot of people. An example of this phrase: everyone is investing in crypto. I think it's time to jump on the bandwagon. Everyone is investing in crypto. I think it's time to jump on the bandwagon. Everyone is investing in crypto. I think it's time to jump on the bandwagon, which means what everyone is doing these days is investing in crypto. So what I think I should do is copy others, do what they do, join people in following the trend, which is investing in cryptocurrency, which means I should invest in cryptocurrency too. Now we get to the next English phrase of today's video that you gotta learn to communicate with native speakers better, which is to bite the bullet. To bite the bullet. To bite the bullet. What is the meaning of biting the bullet? What happens when you bite the bullet? Do you actually bite a bullet? When you bite a bullet, the answer is no. You don't actually bite the bullet when you are biting the bullet. When you bite the bullet, what you do is face up to a difficult situation, accept an unpleasant situation, have to face an unpleasant situation, or have to deal with something annoying or unpleasant that you normally don't really like to face or have to do. An example of this phrase: I hate going to the dentist, but I had to bite the bullet. I hate going to the dentist, but I had to bite the bullet, which means I hate going to the dentist. It's not something that I normally like to do. It's not something that I'm really into, but I had to do it. I had to bite the bullet. I had to face the unpleasant fact of going to the dentist. I had to face up to the unpleasant reality of having to go to the dentist. And now we're getting to the final phrase of today's video that you need to learn to be able to communicate with native speakers better, which is to kill two birds with one stone. To kill two birds with one stone. Once again, to kill two birds with one stone. When you kill two birds with one stone, what happens is you reach two certain goals, you achieve two certain goals on one single attempt, or on one attempt. In other words, you do something that enables you to reach two goals at the same time. You aim one target at two different goals all at once, and you reach both of these two goals simultaneously. That's the meaning of kill two birds with one stone. So when you throw a stone or one stone at two birds and kill both of them at the same time, that means you're aiming at two targets at the same time. So when you kill two birds with one stone, what you do is aim at two certain targets all at once, simultaneously, and you reach them at once. You reach them all at once. You reach them at the same time. That's the meaning of to kill two birds with one stone. You do something to, achieve two certain goals, or you do something that enables you to reach two certain goals simultaneously. An example of this phrase: I picked up groceries while gassing up, killing two birds with one stone. I picked up the groceries while gassing up, killing two birds with one stone, which means I picked up the groceries, and also something else that I did in addition to the first action was I also decided to gas up, meaning that I did two things at the same time. At one attempt, I achieved two certain goals, or I aimed at two certain goals and targets, and I reached and achieved both of them at the same time, meaning that I killed two birds with one stone. In other words, I reached two certain goals all at once. I achieved two certain goals simultaneously. On the one hand, I picked up the groceries, and on the other hand, I gassed up, killing two birds with one stone. And that's about all, guys. In today's video, you learned some highly practical and useful English phrases that you can use to communicate with native speakers better, to understand them better first, and be able to communicate with them better accordingly. Let's review these phrases once again together. Hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head. A blessing in disguise. A blessing in disguise. Burn the midnight oil. Burn the midnight oil. Jump on the bandwagon. Jump on the bandwagon. Bite the bullet. Bite the bullet. Kill two birds with one stone. Kill two birds with one stone. Thank you for watching today's video. Make sure you like it in support of this channel and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll be back soon with another video.